Can you go back and tell me how we got here?
How much time do we have?
And suddenly, I got this email out of the blue.
That was a really funny moment. When I was invited to Fetzer, I thought they must have made a mistake.
It was like, I didn't know what to do with it, that I was like, what?
So I wrote back and I said, this sounds like a wonderful opportunity, but this isn't really my field.
But then there was follow-up.
I was very excited. Little old me, who has a little local organization. So I said yes right away.
So we are on site here in Kalamazoo, Michigan at the Fetzer Institute. There's a very particular energy and magic about this place. You can tell that it's hallowed ground and that it's sacred.
Gosh, this project has really been in the making for about 3 years now. We have Convening here a group of very special spiritual leaders and innovators who are working at the intersection of racial justice and spiritual transformation.
These folks have come from all over the country, some folks from out of the country. We've been on a journey into this inquiry for the last 3 years. So we're here for our final in-person convening to talk through what we've experienced during these last few years together.
Shaquila was very clear from the beginning, you don't have to have a particular outcome. We are not extracting anything from you. She felt like this was a really different way of supporting people who are already doing work that Fetzer is aligned with.
Shaquila and we met via Zoom. There are some people in your life that will say something and you just I have no idea where you're going or where we're going to go, but I will go there with you. And then when she talked about this project, about doing this exploration around these 3 themes, love, racial justice, and spiritual transformation, I right away said yes.
We have a very wide range of both background in terms of spiritual practice and current practices. It's quite a range. So I was really all ears and kind of, who are these people and what am I doing here?
We almost always begin with some sort of spiritual practice. So we all have a chance to talk about what's a spiritual practice that's meaningful for us, and we get a chance to share that. And that part of the conversation has been really helpful for us to always remind each other that we are coming from a spiritual place and we respect each other's spirituality. We learn from each other, and then each person can bring that spiritual practice into our work.
Inhale. Hold a breath. Exhale. Thank you. Thank you. One of the things that came to me was make room for silence. And it's not by accident that we talk about the spaces in between. What would it be like if we waited for the words to come? Can I read something in that book? Yes.
If I let go, I will fall into the water. And there I will shine in 10,000 directions. Do not cling to anything. Try let go. You can feel the light of the moon that is known as true happiness. Thank you.
Thank you.
These folks are all spiritual innovators and spiritual leaders, but they actually embody what they teach. We can't divorce spirituality or our traditions or the sacred from that work. They have to be intertwined.
The question is, what does a body want to do with this shoulder, this neck, this back, these knees?
Because you want to balance serious and fun, they're making a paper flower. All the papers are in strips, and they can take someone's strip and write a gratitude. And then they're going to read all the gratitudes.
Y'all want to see what it sort of look like?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, show us, Janae. I'll see if I can put it all together.
And so there's the 5 outer layer, there's the 5 inner layer, and then the name becomes the center of the flower, Arowana's name, and that goes in the center. And if you imagine the rest of the bouquet, and then it's a gratitude bouquet. This afternoon, you will physically braid together. You will physically be together to braid metaphorically together.
Yes, we're not
braiding anybody's
hair. No. We'll be doing a world.
Yeah. The whole process felt counterculture, which I'm all about, because I'm very much against the grain gal.
It's not common for a group of strangers to come together and commit to a space of learning and unlearning. And I found that in this group that there are others who care about and are doing this work in their communities at the intersection, specifically around love, racial justice, and spiritual transformation. It helps sustain me to do this work and offers models of how I might facilitate or cultivate spaces that I'm a part of to hold these kind of conversations.
I'm listening to different ways of speaking. So it challenged me in ways that I enjoyed because I was always curious about a lot of different spiritual belief systems.
The benefit of this program for me personally was being able to talk to other people who are looking at the intersection between love, justice, and spiritual transformation. There aren't that many places you can talk about it because so much of the racial justice, social justice, economic justice conversation is set in adversarial terms. So are we just going to sit around and have these woosah moments where we're talking about hey, let's do more body work? Or are we actually going to talk about the pain, the real visceral pain that it comes from when we talk about injustice? There's real pain that happened over the course of our journey where Black people were killed and we had hard conversations around that. And there's real challenges, there's real pain that people have when they look at Christianity. We actually have to confront it head on. So there are multiple dimensions of ways that we've mistreated each other. And so we had to confront that.
Like any group where we are fairly diverse in terms of background and identity and location, religious practice or spiritual practice, we don't always totally understand each other.
I personally don't believe that religion and spirituality are the same thing. I quickly realized after maybe the second or third convening that we don't all have the same definition of those things. Sometimes you just really think your way's the right way.
Even amongst people who have similar missions and goals, you do have to learn and build capacity to manage tensions and conflicts. And so I think that's also deepened the community and the relationships between people because there was a point where we went beyond just the polite and then got into the real.
But what I noticed from that point on when things started getting sideways, that's when transformation was actually happening. And so we were actually in the work of spiritual transformation without ever talking about it and without ever focusing on it.
Watching people and witnessing these deep vulnerabilities, pain and fear and trauma being healed and finding a generative space here and through their spiritual practices has really been profound to witness.
Yesterday we did some braiding with each other. Today we're going to do some dreaming. And when I remember and reflect our first convening, and as we entered into this space and conversation of love, racial justice, and spiritual transformation, we flowed from conditioning, naming, understanding, harm, pain, to dreaming. So this morning, the invitation is, we're calling it love letters. It's a time of reflection to really think through what is that big, impossible dream of yours.
The essence of the love letters is you're writing a love letter to someone either that is going to take this work forward or someone who is young and isn't here yet that's going to take this work forward. But what is your big, impossible dream?
And here we are today, loving beings that have yet to be formed. So in prayer and blessing and thanksgiving, we give to the lineage of love.
So it is.
So it is.
Where I've seen the group gel is in like a deep interest in one another as people and like who we are as human beings. And I think our facilitators have really wanted to draw that out and to make that central to how we have these discussions and do this work.
Last session has been really more around co-creation. So we've done activities that are making things together, and today we had so much enjoyment. We made a little ceremony that expressed how much we appreciate being here, about how important kind of healing energy is and being on the land here. And also was just a lot of fun to co-create something with colleagues that we could offer to the group. I feel a little sad about the fact that our time together is over. There's such a feeling of connection and being able to share some of our journey, both as folks of color and folks that are just in leadership positions or trying to make change. So that's been very healing and supportive and joyful. And there's been a lot more celebration than I expected in a funny way.
My biggest takeaway is that not everything has to be in 3 months. Doing a thing so intently all day with these people and then having all the spaciousness between, that kind of cadence and rhythm led to a pretty potent outcome for me. It gave me patience and space to kind of balance my very ambitious tenacity.
Over the course of the journey, I've been able to think much more deeply about the spiritual transformation conversation. You gain so much more by recharging your batteries, listening to others, learning to hear things that you didn't hear before, and really learning to shift perspective. And honestly, that's one of the things for me. I could shift perspectives now in a different way and see problems from a different vantage point and realize that some problems aren't problems, they're just challenges.
It's been just a beautiful journey. One of Fetzer's objectives of this project was expanding their ecosystem. We're going to create an ecosystem map of the organizations that got directly affected and impacted by this project. There's just something amazing about that.